Hey everybody, I am Martin.
Hi, I'm Dylan.
I am Willow.
None of the
Hi,
order.
I'm Nathaniel.
Hi, I'm Neil.
Okay, there we go.
And this is Youth on Subjects of the World, Season 2. We're glad to be back. It's been a full 2 months now. Last show, I think it was like December 4th or something like that. I actually don't know, but that sounds like it could be a thing. So we're going to say it's a thing. And we are changing it up a little bit, as you can see by the fact that this video does not have a title yet, I don't think. We do not have a set subject anymore. So we're just going to talk and let the conversation flow, and it could suck. So this is a learning experience. We're going to hope it works out pretty well. A lot of interesting things have happened in the world in the last 2 months, and not all of them great. Most of them not great. There's also some funny stuff and some cultural stuff. So, like, if anyone wants to start talking about that, or you want me to start talking about that, be my guest.
Well, the Dow Jones, I believe, has went past either 25,000 points or 26,000 points. So that's good. Our economy is rising at a faster rate than it ever did. So that's pretty good.
It was pretty funny to see Warren Buffett made a bet for like $1 million or something, or $10 million with another, like one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. And he told this guy, he was like, people are better off if they just put their money in the NASDAQ 500. And it'll do better. If they put their money in the NASDAQ over your hedge fund, they will make much more money than you over 10 years. So then the NASDAQ 500 blew the guy like out of the water. So just show investors don't do anything.
People are eating Tide Pods, so that's the
People are
thing.
eating Tide Pods.
Why is that a
Yes.
thing? I know honestly, they look like they could be edible, but come on, everyone. I mean, seriously.
I don't think anyone's...
People are just stupid.
It's
My
like
friend-
the...
My friend still thought it was just like a meme on Reddit. He didn't know people were actually eating them.
Yeah.
Neither did I until
And then I had to
very
show him. I
recently.
was like, Julian, this is, you can eat Tide Pod. Well, you can't. But
You
people are
can't.
eating Tide Pods.
Don't say that sentence, because there's going to be some guy that's going to edit that out and post it like children telling other children to eat Tide Pods on
That's
CNN
horrible.
special.
I could just edit your voice to say that you should eat Tide Pods.
yeah.
You said Tide Pods too many times.
We're doomed.
We're doomed.
I
It's
think
like
the
Tide
appeal of Tide Pods is just the whole thing where
Did you see the choking challenge?
The what?
It's like last
I'm
year.
a teen that want to be edgy. I want to,
People would like get up in a circle and they would choke each other.
but in reality, it's
Cats
killing
out.
Why?
Neil, so real quick, Neil is in another country,
Yeah.
and his internet currently is not good.
So
It's
he's
also
just the ghost that appears.
Just ignore that weird, like, bubbly noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that noise that happens every once in a while that kind of sounds like someone with an opinion. Just ignore that, and it'll hopefully go away.
Most likely it won't, though. Just
It
so
sounds like
everyone
we're
knows.
just rejecting him. That's bad. Like, no, you can't be a part of this podcast.
No, not anymore.
So, no, it's this choking challenge where
This is
you would
just-
choke. People would choke each other, and the first person to
Discriminatory due to my
Neil's still talking.
action.
first person to get the conscious would win the challenge. Would win.
Oh boy, weren't people drinking bleach a couple years ago?
Probably.
Was that also a thing?
Of
I
course
didn't
people
know
drinking
that.
bleach.
Yeah, drinking bleach was a thing like at some point.
Yeah.
But-
So people have always been stupid. That's not a new discovery.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not something new. That's
Yeah.
always been a thing. Let's see. Net neutrality was a thing.
Oh.
Like, I don't really want to argue about that because I'm pretty sure I have a different opinion on net neutrality than literally everyone else in this podcast. So I'm going to try to sidestep that one. Back to it later. And let's see, what else? Oh, somebody touched that guy's spaghetti. That was a thing.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
What?
And the "Do you know the way" meme has
Oh.
emerged, especially with younger grades.
I
The
don't know.
new-
What's that one? My school is like
Ugandan
2
knuckle.
years behind on all memes.
You do not know the way?
No.
No, okay, it's a meme, and like, I don't know. This isn't a meme podcast. We're gonna keep moving. Star Wars dropped, and that was divided people down the middle. Some people loved it, some people hated it.
Yes, I saw.
I think, and like that was a big thing. I think that's now currently the highest grossing movie of all time, as
No.
per usual.
It's
Star
$2
Wars.
billion behind Avatar.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
Avatar has grossed $4 billion.
Okay, wait. I thought. Never mind. I
No,
probably.
It's funny.
probably
Nothing's
missed-
even really close to it besides Titanic, which is another James
Yeah,
movie.
Avatar and Titanic are like some of the highest grossing movies.
I think the all-time highest grossing was the last Star Wars movie because it broke a bunch of records for that.
No,
Really?
Avatar is way ahead. Cause, well, my brother was telling. I asked him. He said that, and he's very much into movies. He said that Avatar is still very much ahead.
Okay. Let's see that Olympic coach.
Oh, yeah, he's creep.
Yeah, that is a very, very interesting. Oh, so we were both wrong. The highest grossing movie of all time is Gone with the Wind.
Really?
It is.
oh, wow.
Apparently,
That's
followed
interesting.
by Avatar, then Star Wars, and then Titanic.
Look up.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways,
I've never seen Gone with the Wind.
neither have I. I was supposed to watch it for a movie club, and I skipped it in favor of watching Gremlins. So, anyway,
My mom made me watch it. Yeah.
I have not watched it yet.
Well, don't pretend like your
I
mom made you watch Gremlins.
No, Gone with the Wind.
Oh, Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
so yeah. Also,
Or Goblins.
I thought that whole thing with that Olympic coach was pretty.
Wait, what
interesting.
happened?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened.
So there's I'm a little foggy on the story. There's an Olympic coach who like sexually assaulted like pretty much anyone who ever worked under trained under him. A bunch
Worked
of like
under him.
what?
Worked under him.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that one out. Anyways, like so it was all and like all of these gymnasts came out be like guys,
Neil was laughing.
Neil. Oh my god, I hear it.
I'm laughing at more of your reactions to me laughing than the joke.
Well, because your laugh is like cutting in and out, so you sound like
And it just comes out of nowhere. It's so great.
it's like ah ha! Basically,
No, that's actually not the internet. That's how Neil actually laughs.
great.
No, I'm legit. I'm serious about that.
Yeah, his voice is a lot deeper than it used to be. So his
I'm
laugh
so slow that it takes laughing.
different. So basically, this like freaking Olympic coach is like this sexually assaulting asshole, and then all of a sudden, all the gymnasts come out and be like, "This person sexually assaulted me," and basically, I think like the gymnast association told them they were going to like lose their jobs if they like continue with the charges, and the media just kind of ignored it in favor of going after that one comedian who
Oh, Louis C.K.
no, not that guy, the other guy that was accused of sexual assault, and then immediately people actually read what the accusations was and like, oh, this is clearly just trying to get attention. But anyways, I don't remember the name of the comedian, but I remember that the person who accused him.
Oh yeah. Jim just said Aziz. No, there was that paper, and it was basically like, all right, I'm gonna be slightly profane here,
Oh.
but he was like, the woman posted something, and it was, she very clearly, she was having sex with him, and then during sex, she was like, she didn't say anything to him, he just said, or she thought, she wrote this down. She didn't say that she wanted to stop having sex. She didn't say anything like that. She just, she wrote down that she wanted to stop, but she didn't say anything about it.
Wait,
So it's like-
wait, Dylan.
Oh, well, thank you, Neil. Insightful, helpful information.
Sex, she wrote something down.
No, after.
No, afterwards. Way later. Basically, she slept with him, and then afterwards regretted it, and basically made a
Said
big...
that he raped her.
Yeah. So...
Such bullshit.
Even though-
yeah, and everyone after like 5 minutes was like, oh, this is bullshit. But because they were so caught up in that, no one ever like focused on the actual important story. And a guy who, you can take him or leave him, I've watched a lot of his videos because of this, Ben Shapiro basically was like, why are we focusing on this when we could be focusing on this? And started I think those gymnasts were fined $10,000, and then he started a fund to raise money to pay off the fine that they were fined for coming out about this, something like that. So basically that happened. So that was a bad thing wrapped up in a good thing. Logan Paul did a really, 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 really horrible thing.
Can we just avoid that subject because
No,
that's
we
a
need
pretty...
to talk about that subject because it's very important. I watched
I
a
feel
really
like it's
interesting
talked to death.
a really interesting video.
No pun intended.
Neil said he doesn't care. Just so you guys know. See, he's not even denying it.
Poor
So,
Neil.
Because I don't.
He's not. Neil legitimately thinks that with Logan Paul is not that bad.
are you serious?
I do not.
BS.
No, you can't. I can't defend myself. You can't hear me properly.
I think, Neil, you could type in the chat and one of us could relay your messages.
Okay.
I vote Dylan does
Okay.
that.
Anyways,
You hear me say okay?
yes. Basically, I watched the video on it. It wasn't necessarily going
No,
up.
no. Dylan will totally misrepresent.
I can represent you, Neil.
Yeah. Message it to Nathaniel. He's very impartial.
Thank you.
Pretty much anything ever. So, basically the video was a problem in a
Dylan
world.
will say, Neil said 2 children.
What? What'd he say?
I don't know.
The
No one
problem,
knows.
the problem in a world with a thing like YouTube is when there's content creators, the world becomes their content. It's a story, not real anymore. So using that dead body, that's a real person. Was a living person who took his life. He had a real life and a real family and he was a real thing. But when we watch that in a video format, it's no longer real to us. It just feels like a story because this guy is super over the top. He's a character, and that's how he makes his money. So when you put a character in a situation where they have this story and there's music and there's it doesn't make it feel real anymore. And that's just kind of a problem with the world now in general is nothing is a lot of things just don't become real. And that's not necessarily something that needs to be fixed. It's just an interesting side effect of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram is there's literally a thing on all of those platforms called stories. People's lives are now stories to all of their friends who view them on social media. And if you're a famous YouTuber, you literally make your livelihood out of making the world around you this big, larger than life thing that attracts people into it.
And then it makes you want to kind of I would imagine as a big YouTuber who would make money off of something like that, it makes you want to be more extreme then.
Yeah. And then,
And then yeah, it's worse.
just
And then
keep,
more extreme
yeah. It's
is-
like,
it
until you
was-
finally get kicked off.
yeah.
It was kind of sick though. YouTube very clearly does, like, they handpick the videos that go on trending, and his video is on trending for like 18 hours,
Yeah,
and they have 1,000 people working on finding crazy videos and like shutting them down, and it's on trending for like a crazy amount of time. I mean, YouTube just makes a ton of money off that, an incredible amount of money.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty despicable, but they very clearly had something to do with it being on trending for so long.
I mean, and the worst part is we try and like YouTube is this giant organization, but they're still a company. Like they're going against their own rules to make money.
They're going to make money.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily mad at them for showing, like, for promoting this thing that has an actual dead body, because it's their platform. It's not a good thing to do, and they're going to get like a lot of backlash for it, but they have the right to do it. But when you make these rules that apply to people that aren't YouTube's biggest content creator right now, like, now you're exposing yourself to being attacked.
Yeah.
I think the video I watched on this was a Dylan DeFranco or something like that.
Philip
Philip
DeFranco.
DeFranco.
I was close. But, like, I think that's very, like, interesting that that's only becoming, at least it's only on the forefront of my mind now after this terrible thing has happened that, wait, so YouTube is this awesome thing. And I think everyone here watches YouTube for one reason or another, even if it's not like religiously like some people. I think YouTube is an extremely helpful platform. Like, I want to know how I learned to play drums? Watching videos on YouTube, and I had a vinyl record, an old-fashioned vinyl record, and a record player and an electric drum kit. That's how I learned how to play drums. And that literally would not be possible without YouTube, and that's such a huge part of my life. And that's just me. Imagine people who make a living off of YouTube. Their livelihood comes from this platform. So it is definitely an amazing thing. That's not only created a way to get information, it's also created jobs and fun jobs that involve, like,
Doing what you love.
Yeah, doing something you love. Or not doing something you love, depending on what your channel is.
True.
I suppose you could make something that's completely not what you want to do, but be good at it and famous at it.
But I think there's just too many people that just take it to extreme. And that's just not good.
Yeah. Well, I am mad at Logan Paul for what, like, I don't support what he did. I think it was awful. I can't really blame him because everyone kind of expects things like that of him. Like, he essentially makes money off of being a jerk to everyone.
Yeah.
And when you have a character like that, who's like, his money relies on him and the more and more extreme he gets, the more and more fan base he builds. He got carried away and he did something incredibly stupid. But you can't necessarily blame him for doing that because also, like, no one around him was telling him how stupid he was being. All of his, like, I don't know, what does he call it? Like, his team?
Team 10.
Low gang.
Or no, the low gang. The low gang.
Yeah, the low gang.
The low gang.
Like, his low gang or whatever, like, and his audience didn't even react poorly to it until it got trending in, like, mainstream. So
You have to understand that his audience is made up of children who really just love Logan Paul, and it's like the same crowd that listens to Justin Bieber and all that stuff. And if you really look at the video, Logan Paul honestly just acts more mature than the most mature person
Very
in the room doing them. Like, there was like that one girl, she was like, we found a dead body. If you like watch, I mean, it's pretty how kind of like the people reacting around him didn't really like. And it's like, I do understand how confusing just how kind of like did it. Like, I don't think that because people were saying, oh my God, he was laughing. I do think some of the things he was doing was really messed up. Like, he sound edited, he actually edited the videos. I don't know, he did sit and edit a thumbnail thumbnail.
Okay, Neil, I can't understand anything you're saying at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we could hear you, and then, like, you kind of slowly...
Sit down and edit a thumbnail with
About
a
it.
D in it.
Where is Neil? He's a ghost.
He's in India.
No, he's a ghost. I'm pretty sure he's a ghost.
He's in
Last time I
Punjab.
had good connection. Pune.
Same thing.
So,
No, it's
That
not.
happened.
Literally totally different.
Yeah, Neil has no value to this conversation. He's basically just...
well,
No, I'm being sarcastic.
I don't know. I was more responding to the person in the chat that the viewers can't see, which then I that's why I only got to well. I was like, well, I'm not going to respond to something in the chat because then I'm just going to sound like a crazy person that's talking to no one. Anyways, lots of things happened in 2 months. Like I feel like from the entire course that we had our show, a lot of things happened, but I feel like more happened in the last 2 months to talk about than happened in like the 6 or 8 months that we were running the show beforehand. Just in such a... And I think there's a lot to talk about. I think there's a lot of things that like are reflected. I did want to mention one thing about net neutrality that isn't an argument because it's not an opinion-based thing. The image that was being used for net neutrality of like paying for all of these apps was actually misinformation, and it was a different thing after the article. But basically, that it was fact check something or other about the reliability of what you find on the internet. So a lot of people were angry about net neutrality leaving, and like I was skeptical, but I found my opinion on it based on just how I view politics in general. But there was one article that interested me a lot because the image that I was seeing being used most of the time to describe what no net neutrality looks like, I then looked it up, and it turns out that's not actually what no net neutrality is. It's an example of something else. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Because I'm looking for the article, but it's saved under something.
I know the picture you're talking about, I think.
Yeah. Do Neil or Nathaniel or anyone else know like anything other than that? Because I started saying something then realized I didn't have it. I feel like I
What I
said...
heard from you,
I haven't heard of this.
what I heard,
Okay, I found it. I think. It's fact check. Is Portugal an example of what happens without net neutrality? And then basically it says mostly false. What's true? MEO offers a mobile data plan enabling users to add extra gigabytes of usage bundled by apps and content types. What's false? By virtue of its membership in the European Union, Portugal does not have net neutrality regulations. The prepackaged MEO data plans apply only to the mobile broadband usage and are add-ons to, not substitutes for metered plans for offering full internet access. Access, not accents. So, I just thought that was interesting that big of a misinformation was spread as being fact throughout the majority of everyone, and no one questioned it. Because, like, I didn't question it until my dad, who likes to research everything about anything, was like, oh, by the way, this is an article I found. It's pretty interesting. So, like, I just thought that how quickly you can basically convince everyone with, like, something that isn't true to further your point. And what if that is done for something something that's less of a... that's not an attack on anyone's human ability. But what if you're an attack on a person? What if there's an attack on a single human that everyone collectively decides they hate Donald Trump, and then like the actual truth of it isn't the truth, but everyone already thinks this is bad, and then these lies that are sent in that aren't entirely true, they're like half-truths, just kind of add fuel to the fire, and now everyone... there's lies spreading around, like Trump kills babies and puppies on the weekends with golf clubs. Like, and that becomes like, how long can misinformation be a thing before it just becomes information and accepted as the truth?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest examples of something like that is like a woman making 77 cents on the dollar. That's one of the really crazy examples because even the president was saying it. Like, as soon as I don't really know if either Barack Obama was just being like really dumb or malicious. Either or is pretty terrible.
Probably
But
both. A little bit
it's
of
one
both.
of them. Like, that's the president. Shouldn't he know what the right answer is here?
Honestly, does Donald Trump
Neil, you're cutting out if you can hear
give you an
me.
answer there? Do you think Donald Trump is the actual scientific?
Neil, just type.
Okay. Well,
Dude, just type it in.
what I was
Type
saying
it in
is,
the chat, Neil. I'll say what you have to say.
Yeah, Nathaniel has a radio voice. So like, no, you need to say it in your radio voice whenever you're reading what Neil says, so we know it's Neil's opinion. That has to be a thing.
I will do that.
I think from the little snippets I heard, are you trying to say that you shouldn't take the president's word as anything other than anyone else's word?
one second, I'm actually going to type something out. Wait a
Okay.
minute.
Okay.
So what I was going to say is I don't trust the president's opinion on something for most things, except it has something to, like directly to do with being the president.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I agree exactly with that, but I don't think the majority of America does not have those same beliefs. And, like, I think the president just has some amount of validity.
I think someone with that...
Really, I'm the last person that would ever trust a word that comes out of any president's mouth. But that's spreading that lie to almost everyone in the country.
I think...
Like, a few years ago, I believed that. I thought that was pretty crazy. But, like, just, like, basic logic. You don't even really, like, especially for economics like that, you don't even need studies or anything. You can just use basic logic. Like, if you, like, companies, their goal is to make as much money as possible using as little money as possible. So if you were going to get to pay a woman, like, what is it, 23 cents less for the hour than a man, then why would anyone ever hire a man ever again? Unless sexism is that widespread to as where every company in America is that sexist, which I doubt, because someone could abuse the fact that there's all these talented women that you could pay a lot less. But you don't see that happening. There's not, like, companies that are just women. So, like,
probably are, but
well,
yeah, I see what you mean.
widespread.
Like, I think
Like,
people...
the companies that are paying the women so much less would be so much more successful than all the other ones that are hiring men for more money.
Yeah. Also, that there would be like riots on the streets and like stuff like that if there was a sudden shortage in men. Actually, I think unemployment rate for men is significantly higher than unemployment rate for women.
It is. Women have more jobs and they make more money.
Okay. I don't know enough about that topic.
Actually, no. The men make more money, but women have more jobs. But the jobs that men have a higher risk of death.
I did read that. I also read that men have a way higher suicide rate.
Yeah, and women have a pretty high attempted suicide rate, but it's nothing compared to the actual suicide rate of men. And Neil has to say, the president is a popularity contest. We should only take their word as far as we would if they weren't president.
Nice radio voice, too. Say smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz.
Okay. So, yeah, like, I think it's interesting. I think what people tend to do when, like, they seem to not use basic logic for things like that is, like, we tend to, when something's like that, you tend to overcomplicate it. So it's really easy to miss the logic of it. I do that. If you know me, you know I overcomplicate things a lot. Like, I like to solve problems, and most of the time can figure out how to solve basic problems, but I overcomplicate problems way further than they need to be. An example of that. So I was in New Jersey for Thanksgiving. My whole family was staying at a family friend of ours. And we went to New York the next day, and my friends who were the children of that family friend came with us to New York. They needed to figure out to get a way back to their house. One of them was coming to New Hampshire with us the next day, but they needed to figure out a way to get back to their house because we were going to a play that night before going back to our hotel, and they didn't have tickets to that play. I spent 6 hours thinking about that before I just realized, oh, they can just like stay at the hotel and then sleep over, and we'll bring them home the next day, so they don't have to try and pay for a ticket. But it took me 6 hours to figure that out, and that's such a simple answer. But I was thinking about it, and I was like trying to think of like all these super complicated answers. Like maybe if they just figure out how to split one train ticket, it would be less money. Or like, but that's super simple. And looking back on it, like as soon as I figured it out, I was like, I spent 6 hours of my life I'm never going to get back trying to solve a situation that could have taken me 5 minutes.
Or they could have just gotten on the train and then forgotten or lost their train ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's what my neighbor, Miss Claire, tells me to do. Well, not tells me. She said she does that all the time. She'll be like, I lost my train ticket.
Star slips $5 into doorman's coat. Oh my god, that is...
Going back to what Neil said, like, because I don't really want it, like, to just be brushed by. Like, I just said it, and that's all. But I agree with what Neil said. Like, honestly, with all the celebrities wanting to become president, like, it's turning into more of a popularity contest than before, even though the role of a president is to get as many voters as possible, which makes it by definition like a popularity contest.
Yeah. Like, I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson and John Cena are running for president in 2020, and Oprah. So
I don't think Oprah's actually talked about running for president, but I think a lot of
the
people
media
like want
sort
her
of
to.
said that she was gonna run for president.
Yeah.
I heard that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is like highly considering running, and I heard that John Cena is considering running. I know I watched an interview where Dwayne The Rock Johnson said it's just a rumor about John Cena. That would be great because they were rivals, I think, in the WWE, and if they both ran for president, I would like every single debate to be a wrestling match.
It'd be perfect.
That would just be...
Who could pin the other first?
There are two Neils now? What?
Yeah. Do you see that?
Oh my god! What? Why are there two of you?
So many things are happening.
This is really confusing.
There's two Neils, Dylan's gone,
Wait, I'm gone?
yeah.
Your video left.
It did. I'm looking something up because I'm on my phone right now. I'll be
Neil
right back.
says, "We are here."
He's gonna take over the world. It's gonna be great.
This is amazing. Like, okay, oh my god. Two Neils in like a normal conversation would just be the most frustrating thing ever.
Yeah.
That would be like the biggest argument I ever got into him with, and it was just a huge argument, and it already felt like there was 5 of us each talking. We
Oh
tend
my
to talk a lot.
gosh.
And it was a really like I think it was about something related to it was about Pure Unschooling Network when we were helping like Jim, who is our producer and the creator of that website, was asking us for help with how he wants the website to get up. And we got into like this giant argument where eventually we realized we were agreeing with each other, but we were just saying it in an aggressive tone, so we didn't
I
realize
find that happens a lot with
each other.
me.
Like, but it felt like there was a million of us already arguing. But if there's two Neils, that's just gonna be awful. I won't even get to say anything.
I don't know if you guys ever listen to George Carlin, but he had a great idea for a campaign slogan because next year I'm going to be eligible to vote, or not next year, but next election. So I'm going to run as George Carlin, and my campaign slogan, he has this whole skit about it. A great campaign slogan is "fuck the public." or no, the public sucks. The public sucks because he was talking about how like if you have garbage garbage Americans, you're gonna get garbage politicians. So you should just say that the public sucks.
That's true. I like that. That's awesome, actually. I gotta look that guy up.
That's what I was looking up. I forgot the exact line he used.
So, I think the best thing you can do we were kind of talking about like misinformation and trusting people's opinions like more than we should. Best thing you can so now I'm going to tell you to trust my opinion. No, I think the best thing you can do is form your own opinion by listening to like every side of the story. So right now, I don't associate myself with a political belief. There's a lot of political beliefs that I hate, but there is not one that I quite like would claim to be my own yet. But I would say listen to everyone's side of the story. Like listen to, like I mentioned, Ben Shapiro. He's like this conservative guy. Listen to what he has to say because he's smart. I don't agree with everything he has to say, but he's a really smart person. And he has some things that I think are really interesting.
Yeah, I like Ben Shapiro a lot. Do you ever listen to Jordan Peterson?
Oh my God! There's a 20-minute video with Jordan Peterson. I think it's I can't remember her name. It's this interviewer who everything he says, she says like this huge big thing that isn't what he said.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, my dad is obsessed with him. But like I like his videos a lot and what he has to say. But I also listen to like Philip DeFranco, who is like not conservative. He's much more towards like
He's much
Democratic.
Liberal. He's very liberal.
Yeah, liberal, Democratic, kind of like that line. And there's like, I like to listen to all of these people because I try my best. Like obviously, it's really hard to say completely unbiased towards something you might agree with more. But I try my best to just completely separate my own beliefs when listening to them. And I like those two, like Ben Shapiro and Philip DeFranco are like the two guys' videos about politics that I watch the most right now. And they would absolutely destroy each other in any sort of conversation because they don't agree on like any of the same things. But I think both of them are really smart individuals and have really nice things to say. And I don't think you can put someone's like weight, like I don't think you could measure someone's like ability to think and like their intelligence by what their political belief is. Like I honestly don't.
Sometimes.
Like I think sometimes if someone's like, oh yeah, like Donald Trump is gonna save America and he's gonna do all these things that he said he's gonna do, like I think obviously you're reading into it and like he's not going to do this and no president ever does what they said they're gonna do. But I don't think you should, let me rephrase that. I don't think you should judge someone's like intelligence just based off of what their political belief is until you actually listen to what they have to say. And even still, unless it becomes a direct factor into why you think they like don't agree with what they have to say, you should separate what you think of what they have to say from your initial screening of them. Basically, oh, they're liberal, I won't listen to them because I'm a conservative, or vice versa. Like that to me is how we get into a culture where everyone's in echo chambers. That's like Neil's favorite analogy to bring up is echo chambers. And like, that's kind of a culture we have, especially with, there's a college campus video that I watched and it was Ben Shapiro and he was going to talk at a college and there was riots in the street and the interviewer asked them, why are you rioting? And they were like, I don't think he should speak. And then they were like, well, doesn't that go against the Constitution? And the guy literally said, I don't think that's a relevant document right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Even though him saying that at all.
And I think it's either that one or a different video, but it's at a Ben Shapiro talk. And so the interviewer guy walks up to this guy wearing like pro-communist and socialist stuff. But he is selling water bottles and T-shirts. And they're like, this is capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Like shirts, he's selling T-shirts that say like capitalism sucks.
Like that kind of thing. Like
yeah.
I am not socialist or communist. I that is one of the organizations that I just think is the biggest trick in the history of ever.
I feel bad. Like most kids in public school have no idea how dumb socialism is.
Exactly. Like,
People just see it as free money. No one ever has to work again.
yeah.
It's like nothing's a problem. No one understands that like you will die.
Yeah.
You're
Like,
going to die.
And also a lot of this happens because honestly, kids just want to rebel against their parents or rebel like opposing their views. Like
Yeah.
it happens in every generation. Like your kids are going to have the totally opposite point of view that you have, and they're going to have the views of your grandparents.
like,
It's a trend in
yeah.
in generations.
Right now, the big thing, especially, I think we're not millennials. I don't think anyone here is a millennial, right?
Gen Z.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
yeah.
Gen Z.
We're some generation.
Hold on. I have a question. If we're called Gen Z, what's the next generation going to be called? Are we like we're kind of labeled as the last generation? Is it going
What
to
is
be
it?
Generation A 2.0?
Well, there's like there's like the millennials, so it's like going to be something different, but it's going to be
Gen
very
AB.
interesting.
To me, I think names for generations are stupid. I'm sorry. They're just like,
Like, we're just people. We have certain traits because we lived in a time period where like it fit.
exactly. Like our culture shapes who we are, so it's easier. But like, I hate it when people are like, oh, these millennials. But like, just like, so I don't have to make a big, like, I don't want to get too sidetracked as to what I was trying to say. Because I think the majority of millennials are socialists, and it's funny to me because like they actually, like, I don't think
They
it's,
don't understand that they are benefiting from capitalism every day.
yeah, but not
They're
only
so-
that,
people are so arrogant. Like,
but I think it's also because like the generation before millennials, Gen X, and all, like basically the economy was very, very screwed up for millennials. So it's easier for them to just be like, you know what, capitalism sucks. Like, why would we ever implement this? Like, I don't think that makes them right, but like it gives them more of a reason to say, like, it makes it more understanding that they have this opinion. Because like they genuinely believe that capitalism is evil, which I really don't understand. I think,
even though they don't, like, they're probably all going to college, which you would not have nearly as good a college without capitalism. With
yeah,
socialism, like, here's a good example I like to give people of socialism. Like, the government itself, the identity of the government is socialist. Not like America is not social. Well, you could argue it's socialist, but
And not really.
if-
no, it's a constitutional republic.
if you-
Yeah.
No,
like
well,
we
not like
elect
that. But I mean,
definition of a
like if you work for the FBI and you do a terrible job in a capitalist environment, you would, or like, let's say the FBI does a terrible job on a case, you would just never hire them ever again because they did a terrible job. But if they do a terrible job and like you throw more money into them. But if you had like a government that was more capitalist, you could have different types of different companies like that are like the FBI that you could pay, and the best one would come on top.
Yeah. If you think about it, like socialism, what you were sort of describing as like you get what you get and don't be upset, is kind of like monarchy, where like a hereditary monarchy where you have a king and his son or whoever is left alive, like whichever of his children are left alive, like they become the next monarch. And if they're mentally deformed or they make terrible decisions, then you're stuck with them. Like unless there's a coup, then you're just kind of stuck with them.
I liked Ben Shapiro gave a good example of like, I know Neil's, oh shit, sorry.
Is that a symbol?
No, that's my banjo.
Wait, can you guys hear me
Oh,
now?
you have
I
banjo,
just did something on my
banjo,
end.
banjo.
Yes, we
I
can.
wrote
hear
the
you,
theme
Neil.
song to this podcast on my
Can you hear
band.
me clearer?
Yes.
I just started playing like a month ago.
Nice.
Great.
Guys, Neil's back.
Oh, Neil's back. Hey, Neil. Value of your
But,
opinion is existent again.
Can I just,
Nope, not anymore.
It's
I think
immediately
it
gone.
works when none of
wait,
us
can I
are
just,
talking.
I just want to, I have, wait, I just, I was going to say, can you still hear me? Can anyone, am I
A
speaking
little.
clearly?
Yeah,
Speak
You are.
now while it lasts.
I nodded, but
Okay.
then I realized you probably
So-
can't see me.
I wrote it down in the chat, but these are some things. It sounds simple, but compared to what the rest of people do, the best you can do is Google that shit. Also, I'm going to sell t-shirts saying, I hate t-shirts.
That's pretty much what it is. That's great.
Yeah, then, Neil, you also called the next generation after Generation
Gen AB.
Gen AB.
Yeah, I think that's a good name.
Gen Ab.
So I'm just going to say real quick, I think this new format is working great.
Yeah, it's a lot smoother, and I feel a lot more comfortable instead of having
Smoother,
to do
speak for
research.
yourself. I'm on like this
Well,
dial-up
that's
crap,
what you get for going to India.
under the ground internet. It was like for $60, we could have like upgraded to some like high-end, gonna be surfing the web. But like we have this crappy router that if I touch it, the little antenna
Neil,
goes down, you die.
Neil, the vibration of the elephant stomping everywhere around you is what's causing your internet to go to shit.
My aunt got sneezed on my elephant. Elephant snot went on her arm and she didn't want to clean it up because she was scared of it.
She was scared of elephants? Who?
So yeah.
Dylan broke.
No,
Neil
elephant
broke.
snot.
Dylan broke?
No.
No, elephant snot.
We finally broke Dylan? I wasn't aware that was a
Dylan's
possibility.
always a quick side.
Quick side note, I
Dude,
say
I
that
don't know if it's
Neil
all of you,
gets to
but
school
everybody
on an
here
elephant
in
every
India
day,
is
and
just,
he
they're
calls
just
me a
obsessed
fat
with
boy.
security.
So,
Wow.
also, I
I have
won't say
no
it.
idea what either of you just said. You talked about both of each other.
Mhm. Also, Neil said a very bad joke earlier that I won't say.
No, Dylan, no.
No, Dylan, no.
So in other news, my glasses fell and broke the other the other day, and they're held together with duct tape. And my backup glasses are these grandfather glasses that are like 3 sizes too small for my face. So that's great.
No, you got to put it on the edge of your nose. Like,
Wait, I'm gonna turn on my video. Can you guys tell me if it's better because I did something?
No, it's not any better. Turn it off. Make
Yes,
it go away.
Did something.
Uh,
We're like this. That was great.
Neil, your screen is just black for me.
Oh,
no, he turned up again, but he's frozen.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I think the
He will never
Neil,
get
I know,
back.
I know it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but you look really tired in your picture.
cross like that.
Oh.
I'm very, very tired. I got
really?
used to the jet lag just to do this show, staying up all night.
Ooh, I have a pretty great Neil story. So
Just-
Neil,
and
as you know, can be very hyper sometimes,
Oh, really?
but he used to be more hyper. So he came into school one day because he was noticeably calmer, and he was like, "Dylan, I've become more calmer because I've gotten more sleep." He's like, "I get 2 more hours than I usually do. I get 5 hours of sleep now."
Oh boy. I think the best Hyper Neil story was I met him 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's been a really long time that I've known him. But at one of the conferences we went to, there was a scavenger hunt, and he probably got like 1 hour of sleep the night before. And he comes in, he has these giant sunglasses on and like a poofy hat, and he's holding like like one of those little Webkins animals, and he comes in, he looks me right in the eyes, he goes, "It's gonna get pretty lit, fam." And then he ran out. And I was just standing there like, that face that he's frozen on perfectly.
Get lit, fam.
Yeah, like that whole week, he seemed like he didn't sleep more than just that one, like the first night. That was the week that we had that argument that we were agreeing with each other, but neither of us noticed.
Oh God, that was infuriating.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get a picture because I want this to get famous now. Nice face there, Neil. That was a perfect picture face.
I think the people across this is like an apartment building. The people across from us, I think, have like better internet than us. But I mean, I could probably hijack their internet.
Could just knock on the door. Just like, hey, can I use your internet for a second?
Yeah,
Come on, podcast. Hurry
it's
up.
not like it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so to go on a little bit more into subjects of the world instead of subjects of the Neil. Like
That is the law.
It is the world.
am
Lord.
God.
Neil is the world. So we talked about the last 2 months, and we talked about other things related to the last 2 months. I think a good thing to talk about would be, another thing about misinformation. You realize, everyone remembers when it was all over the news that Trump said certain countries were shithole countries?
Oh yeah.
That never actually, there's no official confirmation that he said that.
I know.
Seriously?
No, I
He's
read
in Neil's face right now.
the original article, and it literally just said, according to sources close to people in the meeting, and according to these sources. There was never any official statement or even names given for who said it.
Okay.
See, my mom,
I have a good topic. Decreasing tensions between North and South Korea.
Whoa, too many topics.
That there is. I'm getting a really
Ah,
strong
Neil, turn your camera off. You're no longer audible. There you go. Okay, Dylan, you were trying to say something?
I think we should just blow them both up. Gets it right out of the way.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nuke both of them.
I'm gonna
Yeah, I
edit
don't
that
think that'd be very
No,
good
no,
on the world.
no.
No, have you seen those videos though? The North Korea propaganda ones where they show the
Those are
missiles.
freaking insane.
No, there's this one. It's pretty funny. It's an actual like an official one. So they show this diagram of a missile coming into America and hitting Washington State, and then showing this
State?
Yeah, Washington State, and then showing this
The whole
picture-
state.
What? Yeah, Washington
The
State.
whole
It-
state of Washington.
Yeah, the state of Washington in the northwest part of America. And then like a video, another part of the White House being blown up. It just cuts to the White House being blown up.
Well, I got tater tots.
But I don't know.
Lucky.
They think the
I
White House
see
is-
your thoughts.
Really doing that seems so
Washington-
complicated, and I don't.
And these little, like, zucchini animal things.
Well, we could talk about once, I'm going to say this again, but the decreasing tensions between North and South Korea with the arrival of the Olympics, as some are saying. That North Korea is only being friendly because the Olympics are soon and North Korea wants their team to get in.
Most likely.
Everyone heard about the Russian doping scandal from a few years ago, right?
I think that's the most likely case.
Yeah.
In the Olympics.
The men, women,
What?
they pump so much testosterone in those women. They
Oh,
literally
yeah.
look like men.
I was kind of confused.
That's the most likely case. I mean, the fact.
Neil, you're cutting out, so your sentences literally just sound like random words that occasionally talk over people.
I think Neil is very frustrated with this.
Yeah, I can imagine it's not fun to stay up all night only to not be able to be understood by anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a Russian doping scandal, and it was only discovered because a guy was trying to make a documentary about what it's like to use steroids during a bicycle race and see if it would actually like affect him at all. And he was contacting different like doping specialists, and he contacted this guy from Russia. And one time they were on, I think I've talked about this in the past. One day they were on Skype, and he, like the guy was just like, it's just like, I'll be right back. And then like he hears lots of noises, and he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm back. And the bicycle guy who's making this documentary is like, oh, what's going on? He's like, oh, it's the government searching my house. He was like, oh, so I guess we're gonna make a documentary about this now. Netflix.
That's funny.
And it's basically about how Russia was doping throughout the Olympics and lied about it. And now that scientist is like, all the other scientists that were part of like the Russian scandal mysteriously disappeared. And that was the one guy who managed to escape, and he's currently like a fugitive in another country, and the Russian government is after him.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it doesn't seem like really all that big a surprise.
yeah.
Versus-
I mean,
they look like freaking. Even my dad said it was pretty funny. He was a kid watching the Olympics. It was like a big thing because like the Russian women came out and they just looked like men. It's like very strange how these women just like have enormous muscles. Not like it's, I mean, strange for women to have muscles, but like enormous muscles. Like,
be careful. You're on a
Like
sexist
bodybuilder
minefield here, dude.
I know. I'm like women.
If you
can
would
look
phrase that differently, you could have come up sounding like the biggest douchebag in history.
yeah,
But
I think I pulled it off.
yeah, you saved it.
So,
It's just like they look like men.
But,
so
like,
I mean, it's true. They put so much freaking testosterone in them.
I like the backtracking you had to do. Like these women just had big muscles. Not like that. Not that women can't have big muscles. That was great. Nathaniel, you've been trying to say something for like 20 minutes.
yes.
Poor
It's
Nathaniel.
almost 5 o'clock where I am. So do we want to take
Oh
a
yeah, we have a break video. That's right. Want to go to
Alright,
break?
I think I have to
Wait.
go during break, so see everyone who's watching.
Yeah, isn't everyone like leaving during break though?
No, I think
A couple
me,
people are staying.
and on my screen that's Nathaniel and Dylan. Dylan's leaving in the break, and then me and Nathaniel have to leave like 20 minutes after the break comes back on, or like 10 minutes. So we're probably just gonna end early.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to break. And say bye to Dylan. He's an excellent guest,
Yeah.
and he will
Bye,
Bye,
Dylan.
Dylan.
we will see you in
Bye.
2 weeks when our next
Yeah.
show
Yeah,
is on.
and I'm useless, actually.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Mother Nature leaves its mark in 2017 with devastating earthquakes in Mexico City and the Middle East. This 7.1 magnitude quake occurring in September, leaving hundreds dead and causing extensive damage to the Mexican capital. A few months later, a powerful 7.3 quake rocking the Iran-Iraq border. More than 500 people were killed and thousands more were injured. Havoc in Bali, where a massive volcano eruption is causing flight cancellations and nearby residents seek evacuation.
Congratulations from all of us.
In British royal family news, Prince Harry announces his engagement to American actress Meghan Markle. The wedding will take place in May 2018. Cuba and US relations remain strained after a mysterious sonic attack in Havana. The high-pitched noise causing several diplomats to report feeling sick. Despite Cuba denying any involvement, President Trump ordered several diplomats back to the US. Venezuela remains on the brink of economic collapse as people in the nation continue to revolt against the authoritarian Maduro regime. Terrorism continues to be a concern with multiple attacks. Turkey feeling its effect on New Year's Day when an ISIS gunman opened fire inside a crowded nightclub. 39 people were killed and more than 70 were injured. In March, an attacker drove his car into pedestrians on the Westminster Bridge, striking dozens of people that left 4 dead. A few months later, a man pledging allegiance to ISIS detonated a bomb outside the Manchester Arena during an Ariana Grande concert. 22 people were killed. And a few weeks later, a vehicle ran over multiple people on the London Bridge. 3 attackers then began stabbing people, leaving 8 dead. They were eventually killed by police. A van struck multiple people in Barcelona. At least 15 people died and 130 were injured. The attacker fled the scene but was tracked down by authorities and killed days later. Over 200 people were killed when a group of militants bombed a mosque in Egypt's volatile Sinai Peninsula. Although ISIS-inspired attacks occurred around the world, the terrorist organization continues to lose most of its territory in Syria and Iraq. Their de facto capital, Raqqa, is now in the hands of US-backed fighters. In politics, President Trump officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, despite objections from several world leaders. 2017 also saw President Trump making 2 foreign trips. His first overseas trip as Commander-in-Chief brought him to the Middle East, where he visited Saudi Arabia, Israel, Italy, the Vatican, and Belgium. His visit to the region came weeks after ordering a missile strike in Syria in response to a chemical attack directed by Bashar al-Assad. The president also took a foreign trip to Asia at the end of the year, with a major talking point centering on North Korea's continued nuclear weapon provocation. Also, dramatic video from the Korean Peninsula, as a North Korean soldier flees across the border into South Korea while facing gunfire. Looking ahead to 2018, Kim Jong-un's regime looks sure to remain at the top of President Trump's foreign agenda, and we'll be here to cover it all for you. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Hello.
Hey everyone, we are back. This is the first break video of season 2. I just want to point out that the season 2 artwork was done by me, which is a big surprise because I cannot draw or make art happen like ever. So I was pretty proud of that. So we're gonna have a slightly shorter episode than usual today because we all have commitments that are happening directly after this show, and so we have to get on in order to prepare for that. But I think this is a really good thing, and Nathaniel is back. Hey, you know, we can talk about Nathaniel. I was rambling.
Sorry. I have food, dinner in front of me because I gotta leave soon. So
Same. So
are we looking for something to say?
yeah.
Let's talk about food. So
Food.
there hasn't really been much McDonald's in the news lately. Honestly, besides the normal articles of McDonald's isn't healthy at all, but there
Really?
hasn't been any news about it.
I like-
thought it would give me a super nice bodybuilder body and make me nice. And
Yeah, it's yeah, I eat McDonald's every day. Yeah, for every meal. I eat a McMuffin for breakfast, and I eat a chicken sandwich for lunch and a cheeseburger for dinner every single day.
I barely watch the news because all I have is Netflix.
The news is horrible.
Yeah.
The news is
good riddance.
yeah.
Yeah.
News is slowly only becoming watched by people who don't use the internet. Or don't have access to the internet. The news, it annoys me. For so many years, most people's only ability to get access to what's going on in the world was newspapers and the news. And the amount of misinformation and just, they could just tell you anything they want and, get away with it. Now the internet, and there's people that are making their livelihood fact-checking everyone.
I think someone's
that's not a thing anymore.
famous. I think someone super famous for debunking news was always if you can hear me and you can't just hear a bunch of bumbling, was always like Jon Stewart. He'd always go after Fox News.
So like, well, at least
He
in
would just the
theory,
entire show sometimes. He would just play clips of Fox News saying something and then literally contradict themselves.
yeah.
You were saying?
So like, I think in theory the internet makes it harder, but I think also, as we talked about a little earlier, misinformation can also spread really quickly. But at least if you're looking for the truth, it's easier to
Yeah,
find.
if you're researching the truth, then the internet makes it a lot easier than
Yeah.
just having the newspaper and the news and all that.
Yeah. Also, am I the only one who says it newspaper? Everyone says it newspaper. Why does no one say newspaper?
Newspaper.
It's not a newspaper. We don't with the paper. It's a newspaper, but everyone,
I see.
Newspaper.
yeah.
I say so many words weird, so I just don't even know anymore.
I've never met a single person, including myself, who says newspaper. It feels wrong. It feels forced to have to say newspaper instead of newspaper. That flows better. I don't know. That's just a stupid thing. That's the kind of thing I think about in my off time. Why do we say newspaper?
Shower
I've had-
thoughts, everyone.
I've had so many conversations with people who are like from like different parts of the US and all that about soda and pop,
Yeah.
about the different ways you say it. I personally say it pop.
That's weird. Why would you do that?
Well, it's magic.
It's how I was grown up. It's not my
Okay.
choice.
Like and I think other than me and Nathaniel, because we live like in the same area,
Yeah.
as you can probably tell, because we constantly reference and things that we're doing in our community.
What area are you from?
We live in the southern part of New Hampshire.
Okay.
I'm not going to use cities for obvious reasons, but we live in the southern part of New Hampshire.
I'll give you a hint. We don't live on the coast.
And Neil lives a lot of places. I know he spends a lot of time in Florida, and then a lot of time in New Jersey, and then a lot of time in India. So I'm not entirely sure where he lives, but he seems to go back and forth between all those three places.
Yeah.
And I have no idea where Willow's from.
I'm from Ohio.
So
I'm
now-
from
Ohio to a white boy.
Oh, it's from that one song. That's like a song.
But I've so far not met another person from a different place than like Ohio that says pop. Like everyone else says soda.
I think they call it pop in Wisconsin.
I've never been there, but
They
if I
say-
ever,
I have a friend whose family is from Wisconsin, and their grandmother says milk.
I say it milk, but there's been times where I've said it milk just as a joke,
Yeah.
and it's great.
Okay. Anyways,
I
so
know
we're not really talking about
people in
something.
South Jersey pronounce water. It's weird because
Water?
only a few people do.
To get a little bit back onto subjects, I think the Me Too movement is starting to destroy itself. I can't remember what article I had but the Me Too movement was this great movement to oust people who were like to basically make it more okay to talk about sexual assault, because for some reason in our society that was made a taboo subject. But I feel like it's kind of pushing itself. It's doing the opposite of what it was originally doing, because nowadays, now, from what I've seen, a lot of like that thing with the comedian, people are saying Me Too for things that weren't sexual assault or rape or anything like that. They were like that, like she slept with him and then regretted it. That's not the same thing. You're hurting other people who had actual bad experiences by
And then they
trying to
group,
claim the same thing.
and then they group everyone who like falsely does it together with the people who are actually had that experience happen.
Exactly. So,
And so it's terrible.
yeah. So if you're falsely accusing someone of something, that's not only are you ruining that person's life, not only are you making yourself look bad, not only are you hurting the movement, but you're making any other person after you who actually had a problem less credible.
The loud minority strikes again. Like in every organization, no
Exactly.
matter what you are, there's always a small part of an organization
The
that
problem is when people-
creates the stereotype for everyone else in that organization.
Mhm.
Neil?
Yeah. And I think the problem is that when people see, when people keep coming forward with these false allegations, like you were saying, it really just, especially when people claims to come through,
Give me 1 second.
you should just believe them because false rape claims don't even happen that much. But the problem is that innocent and proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. And the problem is that
Exactly.
innocent until proven guilty system, along with false, creates a huge. We can actually sort out every single claim.
Okay, dude, Neil,
Resulted, in what?
you're starting to become really, really staticky.
Okay, then you just go and then I think I made a point.
What? Let me just clarify to make sure I understood what you're saying. Like, with the more and more we say innocent until proven guilty, our jail population will rise, and like our society is just going to get messed up.
Not really.
Oh, well, can you type it out and then have Nathaniel say it?
Okay.
No. So what just happened?
Neil's typing out in the chat, and Nathaniel's going to read what he had to say.
Okay.
So yeah, I think with another problem with the invention of the internet, I don't want to sound like I'm downing the internet because this is a podcast on the internet.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem.
Just like Neil was saying earlier, I'm gonna sell T-shirts saying I hate T-shirts.
Yeah. So I'm not
Right.
trying to say the internet sucks and it's terrible and it's horrible thing. I'm just saying that another problem with the internet is when you say something, when you accuse someone of something, in most people's minds that becomes the truth. Because it's a lot easier to sell a story about someone getting accused of sexual assault right now and having it be true than having it to be false.
Yeah.
That YouTuber Tobias a couple years ago who was accused of sexual assault, that was false and it was proven false, but his entire life pretty much crashed around him because of that, because people believed a Twitter rant about it from an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, getting stuff from ex-girlfriends, you can have it actually be true, but sometimes
I understand that. I just mean when it's just to clarify, obviously it can be true. I'm just saying it can also especially if you actually look at what their relationship was like. She loved him, he didn't. He broke up with her. That was kind of, from what my understanding, her revenge. So I feel like that happens too, and that also hurts me too.
it's very important looking at the history of that too, because then you can figure out if it's actually false or not.
I think another huge problem is men need to just stop sexually assaulting people, because then it's not going to be assumed to be true whenever someone's accused.
Mhm.
Not to say that men don't also get sexually assaulted, because the rate of that is actually a lot higher than I thought. And I thought it was interesting the whole Men Too thing that started to happen. I was like, why does that need to be a thing? Why can't it also just be Me Too? Why does there need to be a separation between the two? it's the same problem. But then I realized people were only doing that because apparently some guy came out with like Me Too and people were like attacking him for just like jumping on the bandwagon.
That's so stupid though, because he's like doing the same exact thing, but just because he's a guy doesn't mean it's any different.
Yeah. I think right now sexism and racism is at an all-time high for literally, like, I think it used to be like sexism was almost always towards women and racism was almost always towards minorities. And nowadays I think it's pretty 50-50 all around. There's a lot of labeling and stereotyping and just sexism in general, pretty much with everything. Like there's
just a lot of discrimination over.
Yeah, there's a lot of discrimination towards everyone based off of their gender, and I think that's pretty awful because like gender and skin color don't like identify who you are,
and you can't change that about yourself.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I've noticed being a guy, I tend to notice this because I'm not a girl, so I don't know what, like, I think it's definitely very different sexism towards a girl compared to sexism towards a guy. Because sexism towards a guy is it's not as much like sexism, and it's not always coming from a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's usually, not usually, I think it's a lot of times other guys that are like, you need to be more masculine, you need to be more this.
Yeah.
And I think
this,
like...
Sorry.
No, you can go. I'm just rambling.
Yeah, there's this expectation for guys that they need to be the strong ones. They need to be the ones to support the family. Like, they need to be the ones to support who they love. And part of that, like, should be what people should do. Like, everyone should support their family. But
and not just men.
Yeah, like, you can't just assume that every man is going to be masculine, like, and that every man will be able to do, like, it's just, there's this like, as I was saying, there's this expectation for men to have this certain quality about themselves. And the same goes for women. Like, women have the expectation to help, to serve, let me try wording this correctly. Women have the expectation to honor their husbands and to respect their authority, which is not a bad thing. Like, and husbands should respect their wife's authority.
I think there shouldn't be a certain way any sort of person should be, as long as you're not a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like, or directly hurting someone, you should not. You're like, what are you doing?
I'm sort of raising my hand.
Oh, you can just cut me off.
Yeah, Neil has something to say.
Yeah,
this is him saying, all right, the problem with saying just believe them when it comes to rape is that that's not how our justice system works. And if it did, it would be extremely unfair. Also, even a claim can destroy your life. And then this is what else he has to say. The problem with saying just believe them when it comes to rape is that that's not how our justice system works. Oh, okay.
You just said that.
Same thing as.
The other thing he has to say is the first thing before. So I think, Nathaniel, I have to hop off. I live a little bit further away, but I have to hop off now. So I think we should...
I'll have to as well. Should we just...
Yeah, we should just end it.
Yeah.
So like we don't leave Robot Neil alone. Like, I think you're good. You can probably just talk to everyone on your own, solo it, and have Neil occasionally make robot noises.
Oh God, no.
No, you can have a conversation with your chat in the chat, like with yourself, playing as Neil, who types in the chat what to say. That would be awesome. Like, okay. So thanks for watching the first episode of Youth on Subjects of the World Season 2. We will see you not next week, but the week after that. And we hope you enjoyed.
It will not have robot anymore.
Hopefully, I think he just said hopefully he won't be a robot.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope he won't either, because he's like probably the smartest person we have on this show. And I'd just like to say thanks It's officially been now like a year and 1 week since our first ever show. And this is a new era. We're trying a lot of new things. And just so you know, these are the set people. Me, Willow, Neil, Nathaniel, and Dylan.
If we can make it.
Like if we can, like no, like I'm not saying we will always be here, but like it's not going to be any more than that unless we have guests on the show, and it's going to be kind of a free, open topic like it was today. I hope you enjoyed, and see ya in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is Mel V, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lady Liberty.
And this is Miro Siegel.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.